Hello and welcome to your 2021 market trends update here. Andrew Abrams, Abrams Momentum Group. As some of you may know, I am the chair of the Market Trends Committee. And every month I spend time with different realtors and sometimes my clients as well, kind of talking about what we're seeing in the market trends and then kind of how that impacts you. And so instead of me just rambling at you, I get to now ramble at you while you actually get to look at overwhelming numbers. So one of the first overwhelming numbers is 1,477. That's how many active listings there were at the end of the year. On average, we normally end the year over 12,000. So just imagine going into a grocery store where you normally have over 12,000 options and all of a sudden there's less than 1,500. You might pick up diapers just because there's nothing else to buy. And that's kind of what we're seeing in the housing market. And so again, that is just at the month end. That's not necessarily how many houses are hitting the market throughout the month. So what we saw in 2021 is more homes were purchased than ever before. Ever in the Denver metro area, we saw over 63,000 homes purchased, which set a new record. And so even though we ended up with such low inventory, buyers were still buying. New listings were down, and I would expect that that trend will continue through 2022, making the opportunity to buy that much more difficult. You're going to have to compete and really have the right mindset and expectation on what it takes for you to buy a house. But hopefully some of these numbers will help you feel comfortable with that, because one of the biggest things that we saw in that year over year average appreciation of 16.68%. So if you owned a house last year and it's an attached home, you saw over $50,000 of equity in your home. If you had single family detached property, it's over $100,000 of equity. Most people made more in equity from their house than they did their job, which is just staggering numbers. One of my favorite graphs is this graph because it just shows so much information. The yellow line here shows that month-end active listings, and the blue end says month-end close, which is the relationship of supply and demand. So listings, supply, closed, demand, and this relationship, as you can see, as supply starts to drastically go down. If you look in that early 2008, we're peaking above 26,000 homes. I'm sure that feels like a dream for buyers, but probably not much for sellers. Whereas here, that month-end close, you can see is pretty relatively consistent. And I like to focus on the blue line, that month-end close, for a few reasons. One is it shows pretty consistency in the market. We generally buy around the same amount of homes, depending on what our population is. So you can see in 2013, that blue line, that peak starts to hit a little bit higher. And the reason for that is because our population is increasing, which I will show you in a future graph. It also shows seasonality in the market. Most of those peaks in July, August is when we hit the highest prices. Now, the highest prices hitting in July or August really means buyers are going under contract in May or June, and then they close in those months. So that's why you kind of see that peak and then also those valleys, and is a great graph to show. So what we've seen with that is just how many people are moving to Colorado. So you can see in 1985, our Denver metro population was 1,000 or 1.8 million approximately, had about 780,000 homes, and there was 45 houses for every one active listing. So what that basically means, if you're going down the street, you got a house on each side, you got to drive past about 20, 22 houses until you saw a sign in front of the yard. Fast forward to 2019, that number jumped to 544. You have to drive past 544 homes just to see one sign in the yard. And that was in 2019 when our actives at the end of the year was 2,541. Now that we're a half of that, I would expect that number to be over 1,000, which is just mind-blowing exactly how few houses are for sale. And so what does that lead us to? That leads us to appreciation. And this is one of those harder concepts to understand, but we've seen since 1991, so over 30 years, the Denver metro has appreciated at 7.5%. So this is where, if you're not a numbers person, Just turn it off because I'm about to throw way too many numbers at you. It's going to be confusing, but it's the reason why you should call me after to help me explain why home ownership or investing is so valuable. So you can see in basically 4 of the years, 2007, 2008, 2009, and 2011, the housing market went down. Collectively, those went down less, all 4 years together, those went down less than how much the housing market appreciated last year, 2021, at 16.7%. So if an average appreciation of 7.5%, and mind you, in 2019, I was saying 6%. So obviously, the last 2 years have increased that number. And there will be like a regression to the mean, but we'll still see 6-7%. So just play the hypothetical real quick that if you were buying a house and you got 3.5% interest rate, and right now they're lower, they're around 3.125%, 3.25%. So you're getting someone to give you a loan, a lot of money, and you're paying them 3.5%, and then you are making 7.5% on that money. That's a net 4%. You are netting 4% for someone giving you hundreds of thousands of dollars. So just an example, if you have a $500,000 house and you decide to put 10% down, that's $50,000. And this is where I know it gets really complicated, so I will show you someday in a graph what that looks like. So if you put $50,000 down, that means your loan is $450,000. So $450,000 times 4%, which is the difference between your interest rate and the annual appreciation, that's $18,000. Now your $50,000, that appreciates at that 7.5%, and that is $3,750. So when you add that $18,000 plus that $3,750, that's $21,750. Now, when you divide that by 50,000, which was your actual down payment, that means your cash on cash return on investment year one of home ownership, 43.5%. I know it feels mind blowing. It feels not realistic, but that's the reality. That's the reality that we've seen. And I've always said, like, I don't see really wealthy people not have housing in their portfolio. And there's a reason for that, and it's because of the value that it provides. So, if investing is not your right thought, that's fine. Homeownership is still so valuable. You get to control your own fate. You can age in place. You can create stories all within your control, and it will help build your wealth, which is what we've seen throughout the U.S., that most people's nest egg or the majority of their wealth is in their house. So would love to throw some more stats at you or simplify it or do whatever you would like to have me help answer questions, because I love this stuff and would love to help you. So if you have any questions, please feel free, reach out, and would love to hear from you. I hope everyone's having a great year. Thanks.